start.
Okay. That makes sense, actually.
Mas madali pag ikaw na lang yung nag-ano. Kasi ako full screen ka naman din. Ay, naka-present.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. Can you disconnect yung HDMI from? Disconnect yung HDMI. Ay, sorry, no, sorry. That's Mabi. Hindi siya naka-headset. There we go. Sorry. Nice. Sorry, medyo may yellow outline. Pero okay, it's already 6:05, everyone. Let's get settled na. Okay, guys. Welcome to the Git Workshop. You finally made it. This is the first event natin, no? Sa CSI. Ay, sorry, medyo mahina ba? Kailangan ko bang lumapit? Let me try again. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. So, hello guys. My name is Sebastian Luis S. Ortiz. I'm currently a fourth-year undergraduate student here at the Department of Computer Science. Also, I am currently affiliated under the Networks and Distributed Group. And then, if you also know me, I would also be the current Director for Engineering at UP Center for Student Innovations. So in my spare time, I don't usually just program. Sometimes I also write technical articles at Dev2. In fact, some of you may have probably seen my articles at some point at the top of Google search results, especially if you're curious about asynchronous constructors in JavaScript, for example. So sometimes, like, napapasunod talaga ako, and over my 5 years of writing, I've been able to accumulate 19,000 followers, over 500 ba? 600 na ngayon. Yeah, 600. 600,000 readers from around the world now. So ngayon, if you're interested in talking to me about anything about programming, like any of the languages I listed out there, mga specialty kaya, syempre, feel free to talk to me. My email is ssortiz@up.edu.ph. And if you want to, feel free to check na rin yung aking open source contributions using my GitHub at Bastidude, no? And syempre, you may also know me as Bastidude din dun sa Discord natin, yung The Legend of the Acad Inquiries. But if you're feeling a little bit too formal, no, syempre you can also go to the LinkedIn with in/Bastidude. Okay, so I think it's time to get started, no? Ito yung outline natin for this workshop. Let's start with ano ba muna yung ating version control, some basic Git configuration. You might be wondering kung bakit yun yung una, kasi that's where a lot of people trip up, no? And then we go through the workflow, internals, and then branches, and then essentially after yung sixth nating chapter, dun tayo mag-switch with si CJ from Tekuna. Okay, so before we begin, I'll just quickly ask everyone, what's your Git ---- version? It has to be 2.43 or later. Actually, pwede na rin 42, pwede na rin 41, 40. The point being, I need it to be a very modern version of Git, just so we don't trip up on any old bugs that's already been fixed naman. Okay. So, is everyone here at least 2.40 and above? Thumbs up? Thumbs up? Okay. Sige. Okay. So, let's start muna with what is version control. Okay. You know what? I can just remove this. I think this is easier. Okay. So, as its name suggests, version control keeps tracks of additions, changes, deletions in any of your files. And you've certainly encountered one of these before in your lifetime. Kunwari sa Google Docs, no? I'll give you an example here. If you go to the menu here, version history, see version history, you would end up with something like this. By the way, ito yung document na ginagamit namin for all the social media posts. We collaborate on this. And you can see on the right side over here, meron tayong version history. And then yung version history na yan, parang listing yan of whatever was changed by whom at what time. Tapos specifically, magbabago yung color ng text dito based on if it was deleted or not. So essentially, if you've done Google Docs before, you're already familiar with what a version control system does. It allows you to go back in time, parang kung kunwari gusto kong balikan yung 10:23 PM version ng document na to, I can go back to that whenever I want. Okay. So essentially, kapag sa software engineering tayo, we have a similar problem then. Yun nga lang, we don't deal with text files, we deal with source code itself. So more or less the same, but not really, no? So syempre, what exactly do we need, no? We need to be able to work in parallel, tapos we need to be able to enforce accountability and ownership over the files. So kanwari kung may binagong line, kanwari si friend natin, we need to be able to track it back to our friends so we can ask them why exactly they make this change. So we can be better informed, kanwari kung may bug done, and so on and so forth. And we should be able to track yung different versions across yung time natin. And then syempre, as I mentioned earlier, we need to revert that changes when needed. So syempre, back in high school, you've probably done something like this before, na meron kang isang buong homework folder na puro thesis-copy, .docx, tapos 1. And kapag gumamit ka ng version control, walang ganito. Literal na isang file lang, thesis.docx, and then you're going to have a higher level system that manages all of these finver, final v2 and all that weird stuff. So tara, let's get started. First things first that we need to configure, kasi this is, a lot of people will get tripped up by this. We need to first configure muna kung ano ba yung username natin sa Git. This is the exact name na gagamitin natin just to identify ourselves. Normally, you can put your username here like, kanwari, Bakugo lover XXX, kanwari. Pero realistically, in the professional world, we'll put our full names in there. So I highly recommend na rin na ilagay na yan. And then, is it good na set up na yung, at least dito? Ito yung command that you have to run. Okay. Next thing, we also have to set up yung email natin. And there are 3 ways to specify an email. Yung, in my case, meron akong tatlo dito. Yung personal email ko itself, wag yung spread. And yung other one would be yung UP mail itself. And this very mysterious looking, mysterious looking email here. Mamaya natin pag-usapan yan. Ngayon, you have these 2 options. One of them is good. The other one might not be so good. Specifically, itong UP mail. Kasi pag graduate nyo na, posibleng ephemeral na yung email na to, at saka hindi na siya magiging valid. So I suggest you look for a more permanent solution, like your personal email. Kaso lang, may problema rin yung email na to. Ay, sorry, I didn't mention, no? This is the same email. This is the same email that you use to sign up with GitHub. So, ayan. Yung third option, if you're not comfortable with sharing your email, is to use yung tinatawag nating private, no-reply GitHub email alias. It's a very long term, pero essentially, it's like this a mystified version of your email address that only GitHub knows about. Parang magkaroon ka na rin ng privacy. So for you to know kung ano yung email mo, you can like go to your settings here, for example. Sa taas, makikita mo dito, nandito yung primary email mo. Tapos meron, sorry, medyo hindi yata kita dito, no? Pero there's a part here under primary email address na makikita mo yung mahabang string na to. And you can set that as your email address. And specifically, meron tayong settings dito sa baba where we can set our email addresses to be private. And kung sakaling may in-upload tayong mga commits, for example, na na-expose yung ating primary email, then we can definitely block that from happening. So just to give you guys the option, kasi alam ko may mga privacy conscious dito. Okay, so any questions so far, or can you proceed na? Okay. Sige. So next thing, let's set up yung default text editor ng Git. Kasi by default, it uses Vim. And I don't think lahat tayo marunong naman mag-Vim, and there's a lot of memes out there na a lot of people get stuck in trying to exit Vim, exactly. So yung recommendation ko, kung nasa Windows ka, i-change mo yung core.editor mo to use Notepad instead. And then dito sa Mac OS ka, kanwari, just use something like TextEdit, plus ito yung command that you have to run. And then sa Ubuntu, we're going to be using, I don't know, like Gedit, or kung ano yung favorite mo. Kung mahilig ka rin sa Vim, go, why not? No one's gonna stop you. At least in my case, ginagamit ko NeoVim, pero in principle, as long as you have any text editor na valid, it should be fine. So naka-set up na ba to? Actually, wait, kasi yung next slide naman, i-check natin kung gumagana siya. So, if you run git config global list, you should be able to see these 3 items. Siyempre, magbabago yung username and yung email. Pero yung specific na kailangan dito would be yung core.editor natin. It has to be Notepad or whatever basic text editor that you want. We could put VS Code. In fact, yung command for that is code --wait. Pero dahil medyo bulky yung VS Code and it's like a little bit bulky kung at least in my experience, no, let's just stick something simple like Notepad na lang. Okay. So, goods Goods? Okay. So next, how do we start a repository first and foremost, no? So, syempre, ayun lang, git init. You go into your favorite folder, tapos mag-git init ka doon. So ngayon, when you run the command, it seems like nothing happened. Pero in reality, yung git init na to, meron kang na-create na hidden folder sa loob nung directory itself. You won't be able to see this by default. Kung bubuksan mo yung sa File Explorer, kanwari ng Windows, meron siyang View Hidden Files option, kanwari. Pero effectively, you won't see this folder at all. Pero if you wanted to look into it, punta ka na lang sa terminal or just turn on the hidden files. And you would see this directory structure here. A whole bunch of hooks, logs, objects, and so on and so forth. We're definitely going to be going through some of these. Definitely not all, no? We don't have the time for that. So ngayon, the bread and butter of any Git workflow is yung command natin git status. And so git status, as you would expect, you would just ask ano ba yung status ng ating repository. So kung kanwari, empty, yung laman ng repo mo, this part here would be empty. Lalaman, yung dinitaw lang dito yung on branch main, no commits yet, and nothing, whatever, no? So yeah, let's try to add a new file kanwari. Kung nagpa-Python kayo, maybe you can just add like a hello world program there. It doesn't really matter. Anong mangyayari dyan, magkakaroon tayo ng bagong entry dito sa git status where it says hello.py, and it's going to say that it's a contract file. Mamaya natin tignan kung ano ibig sabihin yan. In fact, we're going to look at it right now. Kasi yung next command would be yung git add. Kasi by default, kapag meron kang dinagdag na bagong file sa git, hindi siya, medyo conservative siya. You have to opt in to version control. So by default, on track na siya. Pero as soon as we add it to the repository, it's going to be finally tracked by Git. May implications ng git add mamaya dun sa .git folder itself. Pero for the meantime, let's just go into the basic workflow lang. So yan, after you do git add, yung status na yung git status natin would, hindi na siya on track file. Magiging changes to be committed na siya. So ngayon, you may be wondering what a commit is, no? Yung specific lang yan, yung ibig lang sabihin lang yan, we're going to be committing a snapshot of our current state of our file system into yung version control natin. And syempre, yung command for that would be git commit lang, like plain git commit. And this is the main reason kung bakit ko kayo pinakonfigure ng text editor. Kasi if we did not change this to Notepad or something, you would be thrown into Vim and you would not be able to return. So ayan, if you run git commit right now, kataring na, you did a git add, gumawa na kayo ng file, no? When you run this, magbubukas yung default text editor ng Git, kanwari Notepad, and it's gonna show you something like this. And ngayon, it looks a little bit confusing, pero it practically tells you everything you need to know. Lahat ng may hashtag dyan, it will be ignored. And pretty much, yung nire-request lang sa atin ng Git is for us to provide what we call a commit message to whatever we're going to commit. So usually, ilalagay lang natin yan like right above this line here. So feel free to put whatever you want, like below this line. Kunwari, added hello.py. Okay lang yun. No one's really gonna mind. Or kung gusto mo, like something wacky pa nga, like workshop. Anyway. So as soon as you save this file and then you exit out of the text editor, dapat yung Git, may recognize niya na yun, and it's going to take all the files that you added from the previous step, tapos dun niya na ilalagay yun sa panibagong snapshot natin ng repository. And so pretty much, yan na yung isang buong basic Git workflow. Those 3 commands are all you need to know if you want to start being productive with it. Ngayon, this kind of begs the question of what makes a good commit message. And some people swear by it, kanari ako, we prefer having yung conventional commits na format. And one of yung conventional commits, essentially ganito yung format niya. Meron kang type, scope, description, body, footer. Let's go into one of them one by one. Yung type itself, essentially, it's one of these 10 possible values. Siyempre, your own project, pwede kayo may sarili kayong conventions, pero a lot of projects follow this. Kunwari kung panibagong feature yung ginawa mo sa code mo, that's going to be a feat. And then kung bug fix yan, fix, and so on and so forth. Hindi ko na babasahin lahat yan kasi naka-slide form na siya. Okay. So ngayon, effectively, yung type lang is just a way for you to categorize yung mga different changes mo. And syempre, there's another way to further categorize what's already been categorized using yung scope. So yung scope natin, that's surrounded by parentheses. Tapos effectively, parang mas specific lang siya. Kunwari kung gagawa ka ng new feature onto the user interface, kunwari sasabihin mo, a feat of UI. Okay, then the next important part would be yung description ng ating, hindi ko pala. Optionally pala, if you're a library writer, kunwari gumagawa ka ng code for someone else, may optional na exclamation point dito. Parang sinasabi mo lang na kung ano man yung binago ko sa code na to, definitely will break code that depends on me. So, this is a way for you to communicate na yung commit na to, medyo dangerous to. So, be careful when you're trying to apply it. And yung next natin would be yung description. This is practically what we did earlier, yung parang added hello.py. Parang, ito na yung parang, what do you call this? Pretty much the summary of whatever your changes are. Usually, yung form niya is in the form of an imperative sentence. Yung rational being, if you put it in an imperative form, parang kino-command mo si Git na do this, implement this, fix this, adjust that, and so on and so forth, no? Personally, I prefer this way nga, yung imperative, kasi kapag binasa mo yung history ko, parang makikita ko na, okay, add, implement this, okay, sige. Hindi yung parang naka-past tense siya kanwari, na fix this, implemented that, siguro preference niya na yun. Wala namang sinasabi yung conventional commits na dapat imperative siya. Pero personally, I would recommend na ganyan na lang for consistency. Okay. Yung next part would be yung body ng ating commit. This includes further details. Ito parang paragraph form na to. Kung titignan mo yung mga commits na ginagawa nila sa Linux or sa Chromium source code, ang hahaba nito, isang buong nobela tungkol sa kung paano lang in-implement yung isang commit na yan. So, kung hindi siya kasya dito sa description mo, ilalagay mo siya sa body. And then yung next one, yung footer, this is, I won't go into this, pero gamit na gamit to kapag gumalaki na yung project mo. Usually, mga metadata lang yan, kanari co-authored by, signed off by, yung mga those kinds of fields, pero we'll not go into this for now. So ngayon, let me go ahead and test yung knowledge natin. So is this a good commit? Sino nagsasabi na good yung, actually, everyone raise your hand. Raise your hand up. Kung good yung commit, put down your hand. Keep your hands up, keep your hands up. Kung good yung commit, put it down. Okay. Sige, so maraming nakatayo. Okay. So, what if dinagdagan natin ang description? Is this good? Kung good, ibaba niyo na yung kamay niyo. Okay. Bakit? Well, okay. Sige, I don't have to ask you anymore. No? The fact is, yung title natin, it's not descriptive enough. Ano ba itong bra na yan? No? So ngayon, dagdagan natin. What if it's a feature of bra? Is this good? Good na ba? So may mga nakataas pa? May nakataas? Okay. So ngayon, this is still not good. Kasi what is bra? Diba? It doesn't really tell you anything. What is bra? Pero, sige, kung yung problema is what is bra, dagdagan natin ang description. Is this a good commit message? Is this good? Taas pa rin? So, for the same reason pa rin, yung title natin doesn't make sense. Diba? Ideally, yung title mo yung important na part, hindi yung body. This is just further details. So ngayon, what if dagdagan natin ng exclamation point? Kunwari, breaking change daw. Is this good? Is this bad? Yeah, is this bad? Okay, great. Well, for the same reason, bra pa rin yan, so does it make sense? And for the same reason, even if you added a scope there, actually, by the way, this is not even syntactically correct, no? Yung exclamation point doesn't belong inside the parentheses. Pero even if you added, kapag nilabas mo na yung exclamation, and you added a scope, it's still not good kasi ang pangit ng title natin. So what about now? What about now? Is this raise hand ng good? Okay, sige. Many of you are actually wrong kasi hindi kayo natinig. Imperative form dapat, hindi siya past tense. So look out for that. Ano lang naman. Pero preference ko yan personally, wala namang piniprescribe yung conventional commits. Pero just to put you guys into like a convention immediately, i-imperative form na siya. So sige, let's wrap up. What are yung mga basic commands natin? It's git status, git add, git commit. Ito yung bread and butter of every git workflow. So as soon as we git commit yung file na natin with an appropriate feature, implement hello world. Ayos ano? So, kapag nakamit na natin yan, yung panibago nating repository, magkakaroon siya ng panibagong root commit kasi siya yung first one natin. So, ayan, before we continue, let me just introduce some shortcuts kanwari dito sa ating, some shortcuts to make your life easier. Dito, git commit -a adds the modified files from your staging area. I'll go into what a staging area is in another time muna. Adds it in, para hindi mo na kailangan siya i-git add, and then git commit in a separate step. You can say git commit -a para naka-add na rin siya. Alternatively, kung ayaw mong bumubukas yung notepad mo parate, you can do git commit -m with whatever the title you want in here. Kung may spaces yung title mo, make sure to surround it in single quotes or double quotes or whatever shell that you're using. Tapos syempre, kung gusto mo dagdagan ng body yung commit mo, you can just have multiple -m entries here. Hirap pala sabihin nun. Tapos ngayon, if you're feeling na medyo bigatin ka na sige, kaya ka na mag-shortcut ng git commit -a and -m, let's combine them into one big command. You can do a git commit -a, -m. Syempre, optional na lang yung body. You don't have to put that there. So again, I mentioned something na, I mentioned the word in passing kanina, yung staging area. Let's formalize that a little bit. So, yung current state ng ating directory, that's what we call a working tree. Medyo funny yung name na tree, pero may relation siya mamaya sa pag-uusapan natin. And then when you do a git status, effectively, kini-query mo lang yung current status ng working tree in comparison to some previous state or parang, literal sa working tree versus yung current state ng repo mo. And then if you try to add a file, yung file na yun, dinadala mo siya into what we call a staging area. And then yung staging area na yan, if you want to revert the file back to your working tree, you can use git reset. Pero hindi ko na i-discuss muna yung git reset kasi medyo may mga complications yan. For now, let's just focus on the pure workflow itself. So anyway, kapag nag-git add na natin yung file into the staging area, we can now do a git commit, and finally, nandito na siya sa actual timeline natin sa local repository. So effectively, this is our basic git workflow. So do we have any questions before we proceed to the next chapter? Okay. So ngayon, this also begs another question, do we really have to commit everything? So if you've done Node.js development before, you've probably seen this meme, na yung Node modules natin dito, sobrang dami niyang files kanwari. Sige, for context na lang, yung Node modules kasi yan yung mga dependencies ng mga JavaScript projects natin, and they're notoriously heavy. Pero syempre, hindi lang naman ito sa JavaScript, pati sa Java, meron kang mga kalat-kalat na jar files and class files and everything. And even if you've done C, C++, or Rust, or whatever, may mga nabibuild siyang mga files like object files, intermediary files, and yung mismong executables na kinocompile natin. In that case, yung mga files na yun, we don't actually have to add them to the source control. Kasi if you think about it, yung source code na natin is sufficient to be able to generate those files anyway. So kung nagbago yung version ng mga files natin, and technically, there's no point in storing yung mga generated outputs nila. So as a general rule of thumb, we can forgo tracking yung mga automatically generated files, yung mga build artifacts, compiler output, log files, executables, raw binaries. Yun yung mga medyo hindi na natin ini-include. Siguro exception na lang kung kanwari PNG file yan or PDF or whatever. Pero generally speaking, ito yung mga in-ignore natin. So the mechanism that we use to ignore files inside the repository is using a .gitignore file. So kapag meron kang .gitignore, by the way, this is not an accident yung .gitignore na to, file extension siya na walang file name at all. Literal na .gitignore siya. There's no easy way to do this using yung mga file explorer natin, I think. So parang ideally, parang bubuksan nyo na lang sa VS Code kunwari, tapos you manually name it .gitignore. Whatever you fancy na lang. Kunwari kung sa terminal though, you can also do touch kunwari sa mga Unix people dyan. And then, if you try to add yung mga files na gusto nating i-ignore, kunwari, ignore lahat ng files na sa loob ng Node modules, sasabihin natin sa first line ng gitignore, just Node modules. And from this point forward, mag-pretend na lang yung ating git CLI as if it never existed. Pero ngayon, you may be asking as well, how do I know kung ano yung mga kailangan kong i-include sa git ignore? Well, lucky for us, no, meron tayong website dito, gitignore.io, di ba? Na parang meron na siyang generator itself for anything that we need to do, anything that has something to do with our, anything that has something to do with generating gitignore files. So sige, pwede natin i-demo yan. Sige, let me just set that up. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. So if you visit gitignore.io, sadly hindi na siya gitignore.io as before. It's now known as toptal/something/something. Na-acquire na kasi siya eh, so ganun talaga. So kunwari kung gusto nyong mag-develop kayo ng Node.js apps, isuot nyo lang dito, Node. Okay, ayos, sige. And then Node. Tapos kung kunwari, Mac developer ka, pwede mong ilagay Mac din dito. Kunwari, lahat ng Mac OS related stuff. Saan yung mouse ko? Okay, so after this, you can now click create and it's going to generate for you a text file. And that's it. This is your gitignore file. Pwede nyo itong i-download. I think yung name niya na yata is, ay hindi, you have to just change yung name niya lang. Effectively, you can just copy and paste this na. So if you look at this, ini-ignore niya yung .ps store. In-ignore niya rin yung ditong, I think Node.js tayo, no? So there should definitely be a Node modules here somewhere. Let me just quickly check. Ayun, yeah. Well, yeah, there. So, naka-ignore niya lahat. Yeah, so you don't have to think about it. Okay. So, let me just wait lang. Sorry. Okay. Nice. Okay. So, I think that's it for our basic workflow. No? Hindi na tayo pupunta into too much detail about that kasi the juicy part of the workshop is how all of this actually works, no? So, before we proceed, any questions regarding yung mga napag-usapan na natin kanina? Goods? Okay, nice. So let's start with the juicy part. Git internals. Okay, this is what a lot of you have been waiting for, I think. So let's work with some definition here. A Git folder, yung hidden folder kanina, is kind of like a dictionary of hashes and objects. And yung ating, when I say dictionary, sa mga familiar na sa Python, this is essentially, yung dictionary mo. Or in JavaScript, it's called an object. Or in the theoretical land, we call it a hash map. Yung ganun. Or, sige. So let's start with the first part here. Define muna natin kung ano yung hash. So, a hash is just the output of a hash function, and then a hash function itself is just a value that maps, is a function that maps a value to some fixed size output. So mga nag-CS32, I think, 32, no? 32. This should be pretty familiar for you. So one such example of a hash function is yung SHA-1, which is known in the parlance as a deterministic cryptographic hashing algorithm. So let's unpack that for a bit. Si SHA-1 kasi, kaya siya hash, no? Kasi it takes in any arbitrary byte stream kanwari, and then mag-output siya sa'yo ng 160 bits of data. Tama naman, 160 bits, right? Okay, sige. 160 bits, and then, so syempre 20 bytes yun in total, pero you can't really represent 20 bytes in pure text. So kung gusto mo siyang gawin in ASCII form, yung usual representation niya is ginagawa niyang hexadecimal. Okay, so ngayon, deterministic siya kasi if you give it the same input, the same byte stream, it should give you the same output. Like no matter what, zero exceptions yan. Deterministic yun. And cryptographic naman siya, so I'm just putting the words one by one. No? Cryptographic siya in a sense na if you give it some arbitrary input, kapag literal na binago mo lang yung isang bit niya, like literally you change it by a little bit, yung output nung hash mo itself, literally completely different na siya. You can't somehow derive yung original input mo based on whatever two different outputs are. Kanwari sabi mo, sige, may 3 zero yung hash niya, so therefore, parang kamukha niya ngayon yung input. Walang gano'n, no? Kaya in that sense, medyo may pagka-cryptographically secureness siya. For lack of formality. It can be a blob. So ito, medyo ignore lang muna natin yung diagram nito sa right. Medyo nagkaroon yata ng flashbacks yung mga nag-CS191 ngayon. So, sige. Effectively, kapag meron kang object sa Git, sinasabi natin na yung object na yun is content addressable. Kasi ibig sabihin nun, yung ID niya, yung index niya into the into the hash map itself, or the dictionary, is the SHA-1 hash of the contents itself. So, kanwari, binalikan natin tong hello world na to, kung meron tayong object na yung laman ng text niya is hello world, edi yung ID niya sa mismong dictionary is 943A something something something. The content itself derives the ID for the object. Okay, so let's try to see, commit trees blobs in action, no? So parang isang buong, isang malaking demonstration na to nung pinag-usapan natin kanina. Okay, hold up. Let me... Okay. Okay. So let's quickly... Okay. So let's quickly go over here sa ating terminal. Kita ba yung text or do I have to zoom in?
Zoom in.
Zoom in ba? Okay. Sige. So I have a folder here. I call it the dev folder. Lahat ng mga projects ko nandito. Let's try to create an arbitrary project lang. Let's say, let's call it workshop. So make dear... Halatang ginawa ka na, no? So, sige, libahin natin yung pangalan. Sabihin natin workshop 2023. And then let's just go inside it. So workshop. Tapos tab completion na lang tayo, just make it easier. And then, let's try to run git init. So as you've seen earlier, when we try to do a git init, kapag nag-ls ka dyan, wala siyang output kasi hidden. So ngayon, ang gagawin natin, let's try to force it to show it by just saying, ls mo nga itong .git folder. And as I promised earlier, meron siyang hooks, infos, objects, and refs. Okay, so let's try to add some kind of hello world. Kanwari, nagawa ka na nila. Halatang pinractice na, no? So I'll try to edit something here. Kanwari sabihin natin, print hello. Kanwari. And then that's it. That's our Python file. So kanwari, that's just so you know, I'm not kidding. Talagang may file dyan na hello.py. And ngayon, if you do a git status dito, as you've done earlier, it should tell us na hindi siya, hindi siya, what's the word I was looking for? Hindi pa siya na-add. Sorry, let me just zoom it out kasi it looks weird. So let's try to add dito. By the way, hindi kagana dito yung git commit-m kasi, git commit-a kasi at this point, on track pa yung file natin. So ibig sabihin nun, ini-ignore pa yan ng git. It's as if it never exists. So we have to explicitly add it to opt in to version control muna. So in this case, kailangan ko munang sabihin hello.py. Okay? Let me do a git commit, and then I'll just do like some arbitrary message here that I've definitely practiced before. So implement hello world. Hello world. And I think this is going to pop up and ask me for a password kasi may ginawa kong security stuff dito on my computer. So yeah, let me just type it in here. Wait lang. Hindi nyo naman kita, no? So, great. Security. Sige. So ngayon, meron na tayong repo. And if you wanted to view kung ano yung laman ng git history mo at the moment, you can do a git log. Oh, sorry. Technically, git log lang is fine. Pero git log looks something like this. Pero medyo maraming ganap. Na nakasulat na dito yung mismong author, yung date, whatever. So let's just try to simplify it. Git log, one line. Or, literal na meron kang head, main, and so on and so forth. Mamaya pag-usapan natin yung head and main. So what do I mean ba kapag sinabi natin everything is just a dictionary of hashes and objects? Let's explore yung laman ng ating git folder. So meron tayong, if we try to edit yung .git edit, we have yung hooks, info, logs, and objects, but the most important part here is yung objects. And yung objects dito, if we look at there, we have, medyo hindi yata readable, pero yung meron akong tatlong directory dyan na may 0f, 2f, and a4. And surprisingly, if you visit any one of these folders, kanwari si 0f, yung laman ni 0f is a 62384 something something. What does this look like? What does this look like? If it looks familiar, this is a SHA-1 hash. Or rather, it's a substring of a SHA-1 hash. Kasi Git does this clever thing na yung structure ng objects folder, yung first two characters niya, naka-folder, tapos ito yung prefix ng buong, yung buong SHA-1 hash. So technically, yung yung true SHA-1 hash is 0f6238 something something something. Okay, so let me just put this back here. Now let's see, ano ba talagang laman ng mga objects na to? Kasi at the end of the day, these are just text files according to Git. Every time we interact with the command line Git, literal na ginagawa lang natin, ine-edit lang natin yung laman ng Git folder. Sige, so let's try to do yung git log muna. And if you look at here, meron tayong isang, sorry, lagay ko lang yung mouse ko dito. Okay. Ayan, kung dito meron tayong parang siyang substring of a SHA-1 hash. In this case, kasi parang na-realize ni Git na hindi naman natin kailangan ilagay yung lahat ng 40 characters sa screen. That's just gonna be too loud. So the 7 first characters is sufficient. So kung mangyayari dito, meron tayong A4, E772F. And if we look at our Git objects for A4, makita natin na yung naman niya, surprisingly, ito rin si E87 something something something. So what exactly is the contents of this file? So let's try to check it out. Ika-cut natin kunwari. Cut, itong si slash this one. And it shows gibberish kasi this is actually encoded as a binary sa Git itself. So there's a special command that we can use para ma-interpret natin yung bytes na to. And yung command na yan is gitcat file. Yung gitcat file, if we look at the specific, yung gitcat file here would say, A4 E7 872F. Ito yung commit natin from earlier, no? Wait lang, sorry. Yan. Ito yung commit natin from earlier, no? If you try to cat file this right now, yung naman ng contents niya, yung -t command tells us na ito yung type ng object na to, and clearly it says na is of type commit. So, ayan, effectively, puro ganyan lang yung mga laman ng Git. It's like one big entire folder of objects na meron kang different types of objects, kung commit yan, tree, and whatever. So you might be curious na ngayon, kanwari, kung ano ba yung laman ng commit. And yan yung ating pupuntahan sa next part ng slides natin. Oh, lumipat yung slides. Nice. Okay, nag-alt tab lang ako. Sige, palitan ko yung slides din dito. Okay. So ngayon, we've seen na in action talaga na ganun nga yung representation niya sa Git. So, ano ba muna yung mga 3 types of objects na yun? The first thing that we have is a blob. Yung blob, it's like an abbreviation for binary large objects. It's like a representation for a single file. So typically, yung source code natin is encoded as raw bytes. Pero dahil ASCII at saka UTF-8 lang siya, you can actually read it off any of your text editors out there. So sometimes, hindi siya ASCII or sometimes hindi rin siya UTF-8. Minsan PNG siya, minsan JPEG, minsan PDF, and whatever. So, I hope na wala namang masyadong complicated dito sa blob. Pero the point is, a blob is an object, so it's also content addressable. Okay? No questions so far, no? Can we continue? Okay. Sige. So yung next nating object na titignan would be a tree. So in Git parlance, a tree is effectively an object that points to one or more blobs or trees. So it's very recursive in that sense. Kanwari meron tayong source folder dito. Yan yung tree object that represents it. And syempre, it points to 2 other things, which is a tree, yung representation ng util folder, and another blob here, which contains yung individual text file natin itself. And syempre, sa loob ng tree, may sarili din siyang blob. Okay? So I hope that wasn't too complicated naman. Goods naman? One interesting thing about this representation, kung yung blob natin is content addressable, and it depende sa content, yung hash nito, yung object ID. Similarly, for a tree, yung hash ng tree depends on its children. So kung nagbago yung child mo, magbabago rin yung hash ng tree mo. And kung nagbago yung hash ng tree na to, magbabago rin yung hash ng tree na to. Parang medyo infectious siya. And for those who are curious, yung tawag sa ganitong structure would be a Merkle tree. You can definitely look that up later. Pero hindi naman to data structures class, no? So hindi na tayo deploy dyan. Okay, so now that we know what trees are, let's talk about ano ba yung laman ng isang commit. A commit contains yung author mo, yung committer, some timestamps, a tree, yung ito yung pinag-usapan natin kanina, a tree itself which represents the entire state of the working tree at that point in time. tapos yung message natin na nilagay natin, and then some parent commit. Balikan natin yung parent commit mamaya. So dito, yung author is the one who wrote the changes, yung committer is the one who performed the commit. So medyo magkahiwalay yan kasi kung kanwari magko-contribute ka sa Linux kernel, posibleng ikaw nga yung naging author ng code na yun. Pero wala kang permission para mag-upload ng code sa Linux kernel. So you don't have to ask someone like Linus Torvalds, parang, yo bro, can you commit this? Can you commit this? Commit. Can you push this commit for me into the Linux kernel? And it's gonna be, bro, I got you. So ngayon, ikaw yung author, si Linus Torvalds yung committer. Pero for most of the time though, pareho lang naman yung author and committer. Yung next natin, skip ko na yung timestamps kasi parang obvious naman kung ano yung naman ng timestamp, no? Date and time. That's it. So ngayon, yung 3 represents the state of the file system at the time, as I mentioned earlier. And next one would be yung ID of the previous commit. So when you do a commit on top of another commit, yung essential na ginagawa mo lang, you're doing this linked list of commits. Na yung previous one depends on the previous one and depends on the previous one. Okay? So ngayon, medyo may implication din yan sa Merkle tree structure natin from earlier. That kind of means one does not simply edit a commit. If you've seen yung Stack Overflow, you would see na ang daming nagtatanong, how do I change the message of my commit kasi may typo ako? Or how do I edit the file inside of a commit? No. That you won't be able to. Kasi nga, magka-cascade talaga yung pagkakaiba ng mga hashes natin if we try to do that. Of course, there are ways to do that. Kunwari in the middle of the history, gusto mong baguhin yung commit, we have tools to do that. Yun nga lang, yung buong lineage, yung commits na yun, we're going to have to delete them and we're going to have to replay them one by one by recomputing new hashes for each of those changes. So, it doesn't sound fun, pero there are automated ways to do this using a Git rebase. Pero, di na natin pag-uusapan yan kasi medyo advanced na yung tool na yan. Okay, so here's a visualization of it. Current commit, .parent, .parent, .parent. Okay, nothing complicated. But what about this one? Is this complicated? So this is a diagram that I adapted from, for disclaimer, hindi to atin yung diagram na to. It's adapted from a blog post from Krishna Virador, yung deconstructing a Git commit. Essentially, ni-represent niya yung isang buong Git history using a graph of Merkle trees. So again, let's focus on the top part first. Here you can see you have a bunch of commits. Commit 3 points to the parent, commit 2 points to the parent, commit 1. That's a directed acyclic graph. At the moment, it looks like a linked list kasi parang, okay, hindi naman graph yan kasi line. Pero later on, kapag sumabak na tayo sa branches, you're going to see na, oh shoots, oo nga, magiging directed acyclic graph na ito. By the way, acyclic siya in a sense na there's no way for the parent to point back to the future commit. I hope that makes sense, no? There's no way to refer to the future commit kasi it never happened yet. So, talagang pointer backwards parate yung mga commits natin. And yung next part natin, let's focus on one particular region of this diagram. So specifically, itong commit. So let's just ignore everything here. This is yung commit, yung Merkle tree for our commit 1. Siyempre, meron tayong 3, blah, blah. It should look familiar from earlier, no? Kasi it's the exact same structure. So ngayon, if you combine all of that, pwede natin sabihin, if you wanted to be like really fancy to your friends, no? Yung Git, ano lang naman yun eh. That's a directed acyclic graph of Merkle trees. I don't recommend na sabihin mo yun sa mga friends mo, pero pwede mong sabihin yun. Okay. So, ayun na. We can now move on to the next chapter na, no? Pero before that, let me just demonstrate to you yung Merkle tree itself dun sa original nating Git repo from earlier. Okay. Visualize lang natin, no? Kasi we've seen kanina na itong si A4, E7-2F is a type commit. So let's see ano ba contents ng commit na to. And we can use the -P flag for that to pretty print whatever the contents are. And makita natin dito, sorry, medyo magulo siya. Pero by default, hindi naman siya ganito. Ay, sorry. Wait. Kasi yung mouse ko nandito. Oh, okay, there we go. So if you look at here, yung naman niya lang naman, ayun, say, let me zoom out. We have yung tree natin, and if you look at this, yung tree itself is also another SHA-1 hash. That should give you a hint, no, dun sa structure natin kanina. And syempre, nandito yung author natin, yung committer, and some kind of a GPG signature. Medyo hindi ko na i-discuss it kasi that's for sila ni CJ later sa second half. Okay, so the next part, we could see here sa baba, all the way down, sorry, where's my mouse? Ayun. All the way here at the bottom, dito lang nakalagay yung ating commit. So, after, parang may mga header metadata muna tayo before that. Okay, let's try to traverse yung tree na yan, no? So, meron tayong, sorry, where is my thing here? Let's try to traverse that. So, kanina, nakita natin na meron tayong tree na 2FE7 something something. So, let's take a look at the type of it. Yung type niyan is of type 3, unsurprisingly. Ay, yeah, is of type 3, unsurprisingly. And then, sorry, medyo yata hindi na yata nakikita doon sa record, I guess. Yan. Okay. Yun, okay. So if you try to print out yung contents niyan, it's gonna show you just one file. Kasi literally hello.py lang yung laman nung directory ko ngayon. Kung nagkaroon tayo ng folders, for example, magkakaroon na yan ng tree of trees inside of trees and so on and so forth. Pero I hope you guys get the point naman, no? I don't have to demonstrate that. Na meron tayong recursive structure dito. And then, let's try to visit, ano ba itong laman ng block na to? So, if you look at the hash dito, then may panibagong hash ulit tayo. It's 0f6 something something. So, let's try to ask, ano ba yung type nung ano ba yung type nung object na yan? And, sorry, ang weird tignan. It's like, log. Yan. Sorry. Yeah, it's a type block. So, let's try to look at yung contents niya. And unsurprisingly, if you print the contents of a blob, it gives you the content of the file itself. So I hope na-gets nyo naman yung cool thing about hashes and content addressability. Okay. Goods? Okay. Sige. Let's move on to the oops, sorry, tanggalin ko lang muna to off the screen. Nice. Tapos, let's move on to the slides again. Okay. So ngayon, let's talk about branches and merge conflicts. Kasi I've hinted earlier na directed acyclic graph yung ating lineage of commits. So, dito sa software engineering, meron tayong concept na everything is a team sport. Alam mo yun? Parang you can't build Netflix on your own. Believe naman ako sa'yo kung kaya mong gawin yun. Pero when you're getting there into the real world, it's often the case that you'll be working with a bunch of other people on a project. So ngayon, babalikan natin yung kaninang version control history natin sa Google Docs. Google Docs does this pretty well kasi it's impossible, sorry, it's not really impossible, pero it's very unlikely for two people to collide on their work kasi parang pinapatong-patong niya in a very organized way so that there's no such thing as a conflict. So medyo unfamiliar territory yung word na conflict sa Google Docs. Pero dito sa Git, posibleng magkaroon ng case na meron kang teammate na may binago sa repo, pero ikaw, hindi mo pa alam na may bagong stuff sa repo. So then suddenly when you try to merge your changes back to each other, biglang magkapanik na yung Git kasi hindi niya alam kung paano i-resolve yung incompatibilities na yan. So sige, let's talk about branches muna first and foremost. No? Let's do a simplified definition. A branch is a chain of commits that diverge from a common ancestor commit. So, going back to our diagram from earlier, meron kang linked list of commits, and if you try to branch out of it, ibig lang sabihin nun, may panibagong node ka na, such that those two nodes point to the same parent. Parang mag-diverge na sila after that point. So let's see how this works in practice. Kanwari, meron tayong version 1 ng software here. This one is what we call the main branch. Nowadays, it's the politically correct way of naming your default branch. Nung sinaunang panahon, we used to call them master. In fact, yun pa rin yung default name ngayon sa Git. So, hindi ko na i-discuss kung bakit naging name. No? That's for a different time na lang. Anyway, so here's like what a typical branching strategy would work out. No? Kanwari, nag-version 1 na yung software mo, now it's time to add new features, hindi ka mag-branch out and then create a new feature, gagawa ka na panibagong develop branch. Okay, sorry, there's full disclaimer here. This is not how all teams do it, by the way. There are like a whole bunch of different ways to branch out of the project, pero I'll just mention this for the sake of example. Anyway, gagawa tayo ng develop branch, and from the develop branch, doon lang tayo pwedeng gumawa ng panibagong feature. And yung number 1 rule natin is that yung main branch should always be in a deployable state. Or in other words, dapat stable siya, wala siyang bugs, or like, effectively, ito yung pinakamagandang version ng code mo. Something that you can give to a customer and be like, yes, this is our most stable version yet. So ngayon, if you wanted to add a feature, edi obviously, hindi magiging stable yung software mo. Posibleng may bugs, which is why we branch out for develop. And then syempre yung develop, mag-branch out ka pa further to create a feature branch. And then finally, kapag na-implement mo na yung feature itself, mag-merge back ka, pabalik sa develop. And note na, hindi ka mag-merge back to main. Kasi hindi mo pa na-stabilize yung develop. Syempre, no one's going to stop you from merging into main. Kanwari sa Git command line. Pero baka pagalitan ka ng bossing mo kapag ginawa mo yun eh. So, huwag nyo nang subukan. No? So, ayan. Siyempre, kung tapos na yung feature, you merge it back into develop. And then, kung gusto mong gumawa ng panibagong bug fix, you create a new branch. And then, when you're done with that, you merge back into the develop branch. So finally, once everything is said and done, we can now do a merge into the main branch itself. And then finally, we can say na, congratulations, this is your version 2. So effectively, walang nangyari dito sa main. A lot of the development happens here at the develop branch, and a lot of the small-scale, short-lived branches happen here at feature and bug fix. Yun yung usual na magiging workflow. Of course, there are other ways to do this, full disclaimer lang. Pero, yeah, effectively, yung mga merges na to, this is like the very best case scenario kung saan yung ating branch itself, when you merge them, it's effectively like fast forward lang yung branch mo from one point in time to the next point in time, and so on and so forth. That can be greatly emphasized by the main branch, no? Walang masyadong nangyari dito, pero by the time na nag-merge na tayo, parang wow, magic! Parang naging fast forward lang tayo. You know, parang ganun. So sige, let's deal with the commands on how to do branching kanwari, no? Let's say, we wanted to create a new branch. You use the git branch command, and if you want to switch to that branch, you use git switch. And then syempre, yung na-mention ko kanina, if you want to merge a branch into the current one, you just say git merge branch. Diba? Okay. We're done, no? Yun lang naman. Pero syempre, there's an easier way to do this. Pero mamaya ka nang i-explain yan. Another important command that you have to know, no? Syempre, is how to delete a branch. That would be git branch -d for delete, no? I should probably use --delete command, no? Para mas explicit. And then if you wanted to view all your branches in your local repository, that would be yung git branch command. So as I mentioned earlier nga, best case scenario is a fast forward merge. Worst case scenario, we end up with a merge conflict. So ngayon, how can we resolve a merge conflict? This is where a lot of people trip up. Dito na sila parang nanginginig na sila kapag nakita nila yung VS Code na ang daming errors. No? So I'll just show you guys a simplified example muna for the interest of time. Pero usually, in principle, ito lang yung kailangan mong gawin. So let me just switch over to the terminal ulit. Okay? Kita ba? Good na? Okay? So let's try to induce a conflict. Let's try to induce a conflict. So yung file natin kanina, we have feature implement hello world. So let's try to branch out. Yung shortcut for creating a branch and then switching to it in one step is -c for create, and then I'm just going to create like a dummy one. Kunwari, good. I'll just call it good kasi gusto ko ng good. And then yung gagawin natin sa branch na to, we're going to edit yung hello world.py. To say goodbye instead. I could just do this. Good na lang. Tapos, syempre, we'll just do a git commit ulit. Git commit -am just say edit, ano tayo, feature, I guess, sige, feature na rin, sabihin natin, use good. It's not a descriptive commit name, pero for example na lang siya. Okay, so ngayon, if you look at the graph right now, meron tayong git log one-line graph, and yung command na to visualizes yung ating Git repository as a graph. But at the moment, dahil literal na isang branch lang naman nangyari dito, it shows it as one whole linked list, which kind of makes sense, no? Kasi wala pa naman masyadong ganap dun. So let's go back to the main branch and try to induce a conflict there. So kanwari, git switch back to main. By the way, there's a shortcut for this. This is a very little known fact. Kung kanwari gusto mong mag-flip-flop between two different branches, you can just say git switch dash, like literal na dash lang, and then you're good. So mag-switch, mag-flip-flop ka na between these branches. Okay? Learn something new every day. So ngayon, sa main tayo, let's try to induce another conflict. So hello.py, instead of good, let's say we want to change it as bad. Ganyan. Okay. Git commit, no? So use that. Okay. So now, if you try to do a git log, my graph, notably, let me try to do dash all. I think that's the reason why. Yun. Okay, there we go. So yung laman na ni git log, nag-branch out na yung ating history. Yung main branch natin may one direction, and yung good branch in another direction. What happens if you try to merge yung ating good branch into the bad? So kadari git merge good, magreklamo siya kaagad, sasabihin niya, wait bro, may conflict tayo sa hello.py. And syempre you're going to have more conflicts eventually in the future, pero nagkataon lang na isa lang yung conflict dito kasi isa lang yung file natin. So how do you resolve a conflict? Let's ask muna kung kay git status, ano bang trick nito? Sasabihin niya, you have unmerged paths. Okay, unmerged paths, tapos unmerged paths ulit. Parang, what do you mean by this? Sige. So let me show you the manual way of resolving a git conflict. Kapag alam mo na yung manual way, everything else becomes so much easier. So syempre, a git conflict is essentially two different versions of the file colliding from each other. So syempre, yung gagawin ni git doon, if it's going to try to merge two things at once, i-include niya yung dalawang changes na yun in the same file. So if you try to edit yung hello.py right now, it contains this funky looking syntax here. Meron siyang head and yung good. So ngayon, yung the way you read this, the top part here, itong si arrow and everything, this is yung current version natin sa main, and itong bottom part, ito yung sinasabi na, this is the one that we see from the good branch. So ngayon, yung tanong sa atin, which one do we want to keep? So syempre, yung gagawin lang natin, let's just edit the file. Let's get rid of this, get rid of that, get rid of this, bang, problem solved. That's it. That's how you solve a merge conflict. There's nothing complicated about it. In fact, there's no reason for you to even use any of these these changes. You can just delete it altogether and put in a different one, good and bad. Another, diba? It's just text. You shouldn't be afraid of it. Kasi, diba? It just looks crazy from VS Code, no? Kasi meron siyang different colors and everything. But this is just a text file. Like, you can change it however you want. So let's save the file. Ganyan. And then as we've seen earlier, kailangan natin i-git add yun. Siyempre, you can use the shortcut if you want. Pero, kapag nag-git status na tayo, magiging modified na siya, hello.py, and then we create a brand new commit that resolves yung conflict na yan. So let's say, chore, I guess. No? Chore, so conflict. Conflict. And congratulations na na-merge mo na yung ating branch. And ito na yung mukha ng git log natin. Hey, that's it. Merge conflicts are nothing to be afraid about. Okay? Yun lang yun. It's just a bunch of markers that you have to manually delete yourself. Okay? Is this good? Okay? Sige. Let's move on to the next part. Let me just quickly move over the terminal. Tapos mag-switch over ako dito sa thing namin. Okay. So now we can finally talk about yung GitHub itself. Ano bang relationship ni GitHub sa Git? So let's get some terminology out of the way first. Kapag sinabi kong local repository, I'm referring to the repository currently loaded in your file system. Kapag sinabi kong remote repository, that's your Git repository as it was uploaded to some third-party Git hosting provider. Okay? So yun lang yung, if you might be confused kung bakit sinabing local and remote. Okay. So ngayon, if you want to upload our code to the cloud, medyo hindi natin pwedeng gamitin yung Google Drive and yung Dropbox. You technically could, no? Kasi nakita natin kanina na yung .git folder, literal na puro text file lang siya na may objects and whatever. So, in theory, you could. Pero wala siyang support, like first-class support for anything to do with yung mga Git operations natin. So, we need like a specialized service for this. And one of them being si GitLab and si Bitbucket. Pero for today, we'll be using GitHub. Kasi arguably, this is the more popular option nowadays. Parang medyo na monopolize na nila, I think. Not gonna lie. Okay, so first things first, we need to authenticate with GitHub dito sa Git natin. Kasi kanwari kung meron tayong private repositories, it's not gonna be able to download yung repo na yun kasi wala kang permissions, you're not yet logged in. So, recommendation ko, balik tayo sa Git config. If you have installed yung Git credential manager, which should come by default in all installations of Git sa Windows, you can say git config global credential.helper becomes manager. Hindi ko na i-explain kung ano ibig sabihin ng credential helper manager, but essentially, no, it stores our passwords, access tokens, etc. in a secure way. So, kanari itong sa macOS, yung OS X keychain, it uses yung operating system level native stuff ng Mac itself to encrypt yung mga pinaglalagay mong mga password dyan in case it asks for your GitHub password. So ayan, sadly wala akong example dito sa Linux. Sorry mga Linux people, medyo mahaba-haba yung kailangan yung gawin. You could install yung Git Credential Manager just like as it is on Windows, pero marami pa kayong kailangan i-sudo apt install, so I didn't really bother putting it into the slide anymore. Research na lang yun. Okay, so ngayon, to be able to add a commit itself, to be able to add a repository to GitHub, we need to tell yung local repository natin that you need to point to the remote repository in GitHub. At the moment, there's no way to do that. We need to, the command for that is actually git remote add origin URL. Pero itong URL na to, we don't really know what this URL is. And as it turns out, when we create repositories in GitHub, dito siya magkakaroon ng URL. Sige, so let me just quickly demo that. Okay, let me just switch over here. And then, okay, kita ba? So this is my GitHub right now. I'm sorry, I think it's a bit too small. Yeah. So this is my GitHub right now, no? We can create a new repository by going here. I should probably full screen this, no? Because you don't need to see everything. Okay, you can do the plus button here and you can create a new repository. In my case, I'm not going to create a new repository on my behalf. Ay, joke, nakakonect pa ako sa internet. Hindi nga tama nakakonect sa internet. Oh, wow. Okay, sige. Goods naman sa'yo, no? Okay. Okay, mabagal lang. Oh, okay. Sige. So, medyo lesson learned, no? Don't depend your presentation on online stuff. Pero okay. Okay, ayan. So, it should show something like this to create a new repository. Let me just zoom in para kita natin. We can do we can name the repository here anything we want. Kanari Git Workshop 2023. And in my case, I'm not going to put it under me. I will be putting it under the UPCSI organization. Ay, napagdagan mo ba? Oh yeah, I did. Bago lang siya mag-vote ngayon. Okay. So, ayan. You have two options here. You can put it into a public or a private repository. In my case, I'll just put it as a public repository under yung UPCSI na GitHub profile. Okay? And then that's it. You can leave all of this blank for now kasi baka magkaroon tayo ng conflicts kapag nagtagtag tayo ng other things here. And if you notice, by the way, meron ng template generator din dito si GitHub. Kunwari kung gusto mong mag-Android development or whatever, meron na rin silang git ignore IO kind of style thing. Okay. Itong choose a license na to, this is an entire can of worms that we're not going to get into right now. And also, I'm not a lawyer, so definitely not gonna delve into this today. Okay, so let's create a repository. Hopefully, ano tayo? Hopefully, may internet tayo. Okay, sige. So for the meantime, habang nag-load yan, dapat, ang nangyayari ngayon sa backend ng GitHub, okay, may loading thing na siya. Sa backend ng GitHub, is it going to be allocating, ay, nag-git init lang siya essentially. Gumagawa siya ng panibagong repository doon mismo sa cloud itself. Wait lang. Let me just, did that work? Sige. Like tayo sa slides for the meantime. Okay? Okay. Oh, there. That's good. Yeah. Right. So effectively, sorry, spoiler. Okay. Wait lang. Kaya kong hintayin. Yun, nag-load na pala. Nag-load na pala. Okay. Congratulations. Nagawa na tayo ng repo itself. Normally, hindi siya ganito kabagal, by the way, guys. Medyo sadly limited lang yung internet natin today. Pero if you want to look at the URL na hinihingi niya kanina, ito yun. You just have to go here. In my case, naka-default siya sa SSH. Pero for now, just to keep things simple, we're going to click HTTPS. We're not going to go into why. Let's just say it keeps it simple for you. So sige, let's just copy this. Wait, hindi na yata kinopy. So this manual na lang. And then, balik tayo sa terminal itself. So dito, wait lang, let me switch here. And then yung sabi ko kanina, to git remote, add origin that. Okay? Okay, actually, dapat hindi pala yung HTTPS yung kinuha ko kasi hindi ko pa na-set up yun. Pero sa inyo, effectively, yun yung gagamitin nyo. But for me, I'll be using a different one. I'll be using the SSH version. Kasi I'm a cool kid. No? Okay. Okay, medyo may extra setup kasi yung SSH eh. So hindi ko na siya in-include dito sa discussion natin. Ay, sorry. Ito ba? Ayun. Sorry, I didn't mean that. Okay. So, delete lang to. And then, we're gonna say, there. So, effectively, when you try to say git remote na, it should say na meron tayong isang git remote named origin. By the way, yung origin na yan, this is an arbitrarily chosen name, pero hindi yung parang naging naming convention natin na naging default na rin sa Git itself. So, whenever we try to add yung home remote repository natin, we usually just name it origin. And if you wanted to see more details about the origin itself, you can say git remote -v. Tapos makikita mo dito na may extra details siya na dapat yung origin mo points to this URL, whatever, you know. Okay, at this point, pwede na tayo mag-push sa git repo natin. And the command for that, yung nakita nating spoiler kanina, is yung git push origin main. So git push origin main. I just realized in hindsight na kailangan din siyang i-upload. So, oh, okay, never mind. Mabilis. Okay, that's good. So ngayon, if you visit yung web browser natin ngayon, and we try to reload the page, oh man, we're gonna have to, oh, there we go. So na-upload na natin sa GitHub. Congratulations, if your code is now in the cloud. Let's go! Let's go! Okay. So effectively, every time we want to add a new commit, kanwari magdadagdag ako kanwari ng hello.py, gusto kong ibalik yung hello ano tayo, yung hello from earlier. Hello, ganyan, git commit. Oops, sorry, chore, revert back to hello, ganyan. Yung commit, sorry, I forgot to say -am, right? I forgot to do that. Tapos tatanungin niya ako for a password kasi naka-GPGPs nga pala ako. And then we can do a git push origin main. But you can imagine this is going to be really annoying. You don't want to keep writing git push origin main na paulit-ulit. So, quickly going back to the slides. There's a shortcut for uploading properly to, there's a shortcut to that. Yung ginagamit natin for that, usually, is to set the current branch to point to origin/main. So, ibig sabihin nun, kung ano man yung laman ng main branch sa origin natin, which is what we set up earlier sa remote, we're going to set the upstream branch to be this. So finally, after that point, pwede na tayo mag-git push. Pero don't run this command, no? Kasi there's an easier way to do it. You can just say, git push, like yung git push itself, isa-set man yung upstream to origin main in one big step. That's it. So syempre, dahil medyo tamad din tayo mag-type every now and then, there's another way to do that, git push dash u lang. And that makes it so much easier for you. Okay? Yun lang naman. After this point, kapag nag-git push dash u mo na yan, hindi mo na kailangan sabihin git push origin main na po ulit. You can just say git push, plain and simple. So, let's try that out. Meron tayong, pabalik tayo sa terminal natin. Here, git push, ito na pala, git push origin main dash u. Ayan na. And then, syempre, it's going to do the same git push from earlier. Pero after this point, kapag gumagawa na tayo ng panibagong commit, meron na tayong, sinasabi niya, git branch main set up the track. Okay. Kapag gumagawa na tayo ng panibagong commits, siguro for demonstration, I should probably show you that. So, sabihin natin, another, kunwari ganyan. Tapos git commit ulit, or do another commit, kunwari. And then we do a git push. Hindi ko na kailangan sabihin git push origin main. Kasi automatic na nakaset up yung origin main as our default upstream branch. Okay? Great. Good? Nice. Okay. So that's all I wanted to show, no? For branches. If you wanted to upload a branch to GitHub, you just have to make sure na properly set yung upstream branch mo. And then after that, git push ka na lang. Okay, any questions about this before we move on to the next part? Okay, nice. So let's talk about cloning repositories. Okay. How good are we on time anyway? Oh, that's daming time. Ha! We've been pacing ourselves well. Okay, let me, kita naman yung lights. Oh, thanks. Sige, wait lang. I'll just take a quick water break, my dudes. Thank you so much. Nakakatayo sa lalamunan. Grabe. Okay, great. You may be wondering na ngayon, na meron tayong local and remote repositories. We have this notion of having some version of our Git repository in the cloud and some version of it in our computers. So naturally, you may be wondering ngayon, na kapag out of sync yung dalawang versions na yun, how do we synchronize yung mga commits from the remote repository into our local copy of the repository itself? So, syempre, before we do that, we need to be able to clone yung ating repo itself. So the command for that is to just do git clone URL. And yung URL na yan is yung HTTPS na nakita nyo kanina, or yung SSH if you've set that up already. Pero, I don't think I have to explain this much, pero, yeah. When you run git clone, gagawa siya ng panibagong folder containing the actual contents of the latest commit of the repository, including, by the way, yung entire history ng repository. So kung kanwari gusto mong i-git clone yung Linux kernel, good luck. Kasi meron silang mga, how many, 16 million commits na yata or something? Don't cite me on that, sorry, citation needed yan. Pero surely more than 1 million. Surely more than 1 million. Let's just say that. If you git clone the Linux kernel, you're gonna spend a long time waiting to download all those commits. So there are ways to improve on that. Kanwari gagamit kayo ng -depth1 to only get like up to the first commit lang, pero hindi ko na in-include yun sa slides kasi medyo niche feature na yun. So okay, so going back to what I said earlier, no, how do we synchronize changes between the remote repository and the local repository? And yung ginagamit natin command for that is git fetch and git merge. Oops, sorry. When you do a git fetch, dina-download niya yung mga panibagong objects. I want to emphasize that. It downloads objects, yung mga may SHA-1 hash. It downloads it into the .git folder and into the objects folder, and nandun na siya. Pero, yung mga fetch nating objects na yun, they're not gonna be present into our working tree. hindi siya ganun. It's not gonna put those changes automatically. If you wanted to put those brand new objects into our local branch of our local repository, we have to manually merge. So I'm assuming here na nasa main branch tayo ng local repository. So after we fetch, we have to manually merge from origin/main. So syempre, you're probably going to say, Basti, bakit kailangan dalawang commands para lang mag-download ng updates tapos mag-merge? Well, I'm glad to tell you that there is a simpler way to do this, and it's just git pull. A git pull is just a fetch and merge in one step. Okay. So, ayan, I'm assuming, by the way, na properly set up na yung upstream branches. So, normally you would have to say git pull origin something ganun. Pero kapag ayos naman yung upstream branch, no need for that nonsense. Okay, so let's recap. Ano ba yung workflow natin kapag meron tayong, sorry, is this readable? Parang masyadong maliit yata yung text. Sorry, sige, I'll just dictate it for your sake na lang. So let's recall, no, from earlier, meron tayong git status. We have a git add, which takes your modified files into the staging area. And then if you want to reset it, git reset, yun lang. Pero I didn't discuss this kasi medyo tricky nga yung concept ng git reset. Anyway, so when git add ka na, you can start git committing them into the local, okay, let me emphasize that, into the local repository. And then, kapag meron ka ng brand new commits, let's say 5 new local commits, you can finally git push them into the remote repository. And tuwing may panibagong changes sa remote repository, you can fetch them and then you manually merge them into your working tree. Or if you want to do it in one step, git pull lang siya. Isang ganun. Okay? Goods? Grabe, we have a lot of time pa pala. Ang lupit. This is nice kasi ibig sabihin nun, actually, I was initially worried kasi medyo marami yung pinag-usapan natin. And I feared na hindi tayo aabot dun sa contributing to open source. Pero ito yung ating next na topic. We're going to be talking about forks, pull requests, and code reviews. Essentially ganun. Actually, sige. I'll take a quick 2-minute break kasi ito yung view na yung lalamunan ko. Paano? Kapag may time, siguro during the session itself. Probably 46 minutes. Probably. Feel nito. Thank you, Tina. So, I think we can, sige, I'll just wait for everyone to settle down lang. Sige. Thumbs up na lang kapag ready na. Okay. So ngayon, let's talk about how to do open source work dito sa GitHub. So if you can probably imagine, no, you can't just push commits to random people's repositories. That would be like terribly insecure. Kanwari imagine kung si Basti out of nowhere nag-upload ng code sa Linux kernel, ano? Parang, oh no! Oh no talaga, ano? So, by default, hindi siya technically by default, like by design. By design, si GitHub, for you to be able to push changes into a repository, you have to first fork yung original copy ng repository sa GitHub. So, let me just check here. Sige, ito yung URL natin. Oh, sorry, it's super small. Okay. Okay, sorry. Yeah, it's super small. I hope you guys can see this. Pero, ngayon, yung activity ko na papagawa sa inyo, I'm going to be adding you guys dito sa ating Git Workshop 2023. Tapos gagawa lang tayo ng guest book, no? The only thing that you need to do is to put your name into the README itself. Pero before we do forks, pull requests, and everything, let's talk about on the receiving end muna tayo kasi yun yung mas madali. Yun yung mas madali. So let's say, kanwari, naka-receive tayo ng pull request from someone. And yung gagawin natin ngayon, a pull request is essentially this, it's essentially this conversation view kind of thing where you can put suggestions for code. So kanwari, I want you to, from my fork of the repository, I want you to pull my changes into the canonical version of this repository. So, in that case, kaya siya pull request kasi parang gusto niyang i-pull ko yung code nila. So, at the moment, medyo wala pang laman. So, I'll just... Okay, so just wait for a bit, no? Okay. Okay, sige. Let's quickly go to the fork na lang muna habang naghihintay. So, ayan. If you look at your GitHub repository, meron ka mga fancy buttons dito, edit pins, on watch a repository, and specifically there's a fork button here. And if you try to fork a repository, if you kang sabihin nun, kinukuha mo, okay, medyo tricky ito ha, meron kang remote repository, and once you start forking it, gagawa ka ng sarili mong copy of the remote repository, tapos if you want to contribute, now you have to download your own version of the fork of your remote repository. And it's like, terminology-wise, it's very confusing, pero ang gagawin ka lang, I'll just fork it myself. So, kanwari dito, ngayon, purposely ko ginawang UPCSI yung owner ng repo na to, kasi I want to fork it as Basti Dude na mismo. Button, parang wow, if it's not already so explicit how to contribute, ano? And we also have a sync fork. So ngayon, this button here is a little bit special. Kasi if you think about it, nag-fork na tayo from the canonical version of the repository. So ibig sabihin nun, yung remote repository na to mismo, posible rin siya maging out of date doon sa original na remote repository. So if you wanted to pull in yung mga latest changes doon sa upstream repository natin, you just have to click this button. Tapos, sasabihin niya sa'yo na, fetch all of these new things. Okay, there's a way to do this through the command line, pero in the interest of time, hindi ko na yata yun na-demonstrate. Maybe for part 2 of this workshop, no? Part 2. Okay. So, ayan. Effectively, kapag nag-fork tayo, this is how you maintain it. And normally, if you fork a repository, you don't touch the main branch. You never touch the main branch kasi magka-conflict yan dun sa main branch nung canonical repository mo. Ideally, just like as I said earlier, no, magka-branch out ka muna, i-git clone mo muna, and then magka-branch out ka from main, and then you start setting up the upstream, and then you push to this fork remote repository. Kung ano man yung laman nung fork version na yun, ay yung branch ng fourth version na yun, yun yung pwede mong ibigay as a pull request. So sige, let's quickly do something like that, no? Balik tayo sa terminal. Sorry, let's just do this. Sa terminal. Okay. I need both of my hands here. Okay, so let's try to exit out of yung repo na to kasi we're kind of done with this. Let's pretend na this never existed. This never existed. Ang gagawin ko ngayon, mag-git clone ako, so I'll just quickly copy and paste yung aking URL mo. Wait lang ha. This is, ayun, all the way up here. Sa akin, SSH yung pupunin ko, pero reminder lang, HTTPS yung sa inyo ha, assuming na na-set up niyo yung credential.helper. Okay. So let's copy this over. Nice. And then balik tayo sa terminal. And then we just have to say, git clone this. Okay? So ngayon, it's going to download all the objects so far, which is just 6 commits in one file. You know, nothing too clever there. And then, ayan. Okay. So now we cd into this, git workshop 2023. Yeah. And I think yung laman nito is nothing, ls, yep, okay. Everything looks great. Yeah. Diba? So parang nag-clone tayo and it's as if nothing happened. Parang bumalik lang sa atin yung history and everything. So okay, let's try to do, just to repeat ha, if you run git remote, git remote -v, notice that yung git remote ko is pointing at yung fork ko nung canonical repo itself. I'm not going to be pushing to the main repo itself kasi wala akong permission. I don't have the privilege to push to their repo. So instead, I just forked it and then dito ako mag-push itself. So as I've said earlier, you don't want to push to the main branch kasi medyo masisira yun kapag nag-synchronize na tayo dun sa upstream natin. So let's try to do a git switch and let's create a new branch here. Let's call it a feature for, ano ba maganda? Like a git ignore, I guess. So kanari, let's create a new branch called git ignore. I add git ignore. So kanari, gagawin natin itong Node.js project. Kanari lang. So syempre, kailangan natin idagdag sa .git ignore yung Node modules folder. So Node modules. Kanari. And then that's it. So now we just have to git add. By the way, hindi kagana yung git commit -am kasi nga hindi pa siya track file. Okay? So we have to manually add it first. Git add. Yung shortcut nito, if you don't want to put yung names ng files one by one, you can say git add dot. And yung dot na to, ibig lang sabihin yan, add all files under the current working directory. Emphasis on the current working directory, no? Kasi kung kanwari nag-cd tayo into some inner folder here, yung dot na yon is actually relative to whatever we just cd into. Alternatively, you can do git add all, like wildcard, and if you wanted to do a pattern, you can do .git ignore tapos star para everything na may prefix na may git tapos kanwari or ganyan. So there are a lot of ways to do this, pero for the meantime, let's just manually say git ignore. Okay? So now we're going to do a git commit -am and we're going to, hindi na kaya yung A kasi na-add na natin. So feature, add git ignore. Okay? Or dahil gusto mong maayos yung tignan, I'll be doing something like this. Parang markdown siya kanagad. Okay. So ngayon, it's gonna ask me for my password again. So let's just do this. And now, when I do a git push, saan siya mag-push? Tama. Sino nagsabi doon? Yung fork. Nice. Congratulations, my dude. Nakikinig ka. So yes, if we do a git push right now, pupunta to sa ating fork. Hindi siya pupunta sa upstream branch itself. So, if you look at this output, by the way, very helpful tong si GitHub. Sabihin niya, if you want to create a pull request for the add git ignore branch, edi just visit this URL and then automatic ka nang makakagawa ng pull request out of that. So, syempre, let's try to visit muna yung laman ni GitHub itself. No? So, dito tayo, balik tayo sa dito. Conveniently, no? Parang sobrang friendly ni GitHub sa atin. Na may nag-pop up na dito, I didn't even have to reload the page. parang sinabi niya na, okay, we detected a new branch that you pushed, so why don't you make a pull request? So sige, let's go make a pull request. And normally, if you wanted to do a pull request, dito mo ilalagay yung rationale mo for why you want to implement something. Ano ba yung mga implementation details na nilagay mo? You could have put it into the commit itself. Pero, in my case, gagawa ko dito lang ng simple description here. Sabihin natin dito na the workshop pretends that we're developing a Node.js project. Ayan. Very straightforward. Tapos syempre, dito sa GitHub, there are all sorts of ways to add yung mga assigned reviewers. Kanwari, kung gusto mong ganwari na si Jelly yung mag-review ng...
Let's go!
Ikaw mag-review ng... Tapos kung kanwari gusto natin ilagay ni assignee natin dito si Kaden kanwari. So, yan si Kaden. Assignee, ano. And then kung gusto mo lagay ng label, syempre, kasi mabuti nang may label ng lahat. So, kanwari natin, gagawin natin enhancement. Syempre, pwede nyo i-customize yan, ano? Hindi ko na i-explain kung paano nyo i-explain kung paano yan pagguhin. Pero, effectively, ay lang yan. Magdadagdag ka ng label. And literally, if you look below it, makikita mo dito na we only added one new commit. Tapos, yung laban ng commit na yun is Node modules. The way you read this, by the way, yung green lines, ito yung mga dinagdag nating lines. Kapag red yung color ng line, we deleted the line. Pero if we edited a line, magmumukha siyang may red sa taas and may green sa baba. So it's as if we deleted the old one and we substituted for a new one. That's how we represent a change in Git. So again, let's try to create the pull request right now. And yung reviewer natin si Jelly, I think, so good luck to us. No shade, fam, no shade. Okay. Oh wait, may tatlo na tayo. Mga excited, ha? May tatlo na tayo. Si Elvis. Okay. So first things first, meron tayong pull request dito from me. Pero unahin muna natin yung pull request from Jelly herself. Kasi dito niya idadagdag yung tinatawag na readme sa isang GitHub repository. Every repository, ideally, should have a readme file. Ito yung parang yung nakalitaw na homepage kind of thing mo sa isang repository. So let's say, ito si Jelly, meron siyang new PR docs add repository intro. Tapos sinabi niya dito, adds a short introduction to the readme file. Okay. Arguably, medyo redundant na meron kang title and dito, pero you can never have too much detail, I guess. No? Mas maganda na yung may describe ka dito sa no description provided. Honestly, mas prefer ko yun kasi ibig sabihin nun, you took the time out of your day to at least rationalize to me on why this deserves to be added to the repository. So definitely, good thing yun. So how do we approve a pull request? We could just scroll down here, tapos merge pull request directly, right? Pero that's not what I'm going to be teaching you. Instead, we're going to be going through what we call a code review. Okay. Salamat, Michael. Okay. So ayan, the way we review a pull request is we have to go through the files change tab here. Tapos, pinilitaw dito yung mga binago ni Jelly. In this case, puro green lang. So, one line. There are things here na I recommend that you turn on. Kanwari, dito sa cog, yung default niya is to use yung unified view. I don't like the unified view, not gonna lie. Kasi it looks like this. Sorry. At least in this case, hindi yata magbabago yung representation, no? Oo. Kasi kapag lumaki na yung file na to, meron ka ng red and green and whatever, all on the same column. And I don't really like seeing that kasi, I don't know, parang cluttered siyang tignan compared sa kapag ginawa natin split view siya. Tapos, nakahiwalay yung old version sa new version. Okay? So in this case, yung old version, literally wala siyang laman. Tapos yung new version, ito na yung 10 lines natin. So syempre, dito sa GitHub, there are many ways to review a pull request. The first one being, we can straight up just reject it. So punta ka dito sa taas, sabihin mo, request changes. Tapos sabihin ko, ayoko. Diba? Kanari ganyan. Pwede mo yung gawin, no one's gonna stop you. Pero you can also do an approval here. Pero that's not too exciting, no? Kasi parang it's just a yes or no thing. Pero what if we wanted to go and look at specific parts of a file and we wanted to comment on those specific lines? So kanari, the thing that I'm looking here na medyo glaring issue sa ating README is the fact that hindi naka-hyperlink yung Secona, Cursor, and ACM. It's just plain text. So syempre, sasabihin ko dito sa ating pull request kanari sorry, let me just put my mouse here. Kapag nag-hover ka sa line 10, meron siyang plus button dito. And if you click the plus, pwede kang maglagay ng comment on that specific line. If you wanted to do multiple lines, ano sa tingin niyo yung mangyayari kapag multiple lines, no? You just have to drag, exactly. You just have to drag the thing. Okay, there. You just have to drag the thing to make multiple lines. Pero in my case, mas interested ako dun sa line 10 kasi gusto kong sabihin na let's add hyperlinks to their websites. And yung button dito, let me just show you a cool thing. No? If you try to preview this, it's gonna show you what it looks like if it was already reviewed. Pero if you wanted to suggest a change yourself, you can click this button here to add a suggestion to that specific line. And yung add suggestion na yung shortcut niya is Ctrl-G. So if you try to click it right now, bibigyan niya ikaw ng parang markdown style code fence dito na may suggestion. At the moment, wala tayong ginawang suggestion. Ayun, no? You must change an existing something. So let's try to change something, no? Kanwari sabihin kong Secona is, gagawin ko siyang hyperlink, kanwari, na may HTTPS Secona.io. Yeah, Secona.io. Right? So ngayon, if we preview this right now, magmumukha siyang suggestion dito na yung code review ko, sabi ko, gusto kong gawing hyperlink ito. So ngayon, we can start a review, pero hindi pa yan magsasubmit. It's just going to be pending. Naka-batch up siya together. So if you wanted to, we can add another one here. We can add a new suggestion here, kanari, or we can just say, stop. Good. Stop ko na. We can add that. So, syempre, we can cancel, remove, and whatever. Pero I'm pretty happy with what this looks like right now. So I can now click Finish Review. Tapos dito ko na pwede siyang i-approve or i-request changes. So in this case, i-request changes ko siya, and I'm going to put a comment here. Kanali sabihin ko, please see the comments in the code. Kanali. And after that, you can click Submit Review. And that's effectively how you do a code review sa GitHub. So ngayon, si Jenny, ang trabaho niya ngayon is either to be able to click this commit suggestion and to say, you can like commit yung change ko directly, tapos maglagay ka ng commit message dito, fix add hyperlink, kanari ganun. And then you can just commit it directly. You can click this button, pero I'm not gonna click it anymore. Si Jenny na lang bahala dyan. It's her pull request, I guess. So, ano tayo ito? Wow, may mga nag-thumbs up. Sino to? Okay. Thank you guys. Sige. So balikan natin yung pull request natin from earlier, no? I think na-review na yata yun ni Jenny by now. And we would see here na wow, wait lang. Na-review na ba siya?
Ay, sorry.
Okay. So one way to do that is pwedeng i-reject niya yung PR ko, pwede niyang i-accept yung PR ko. And in any case, kapag ni-accept niya na yung pull request itself, pwede na natin i-merge siya dito. Pero if you look here, even though hindi pa na-approve yung ating repository, parang there's no way to enforce it pa. So, I mean, what I'm trying to say is, you can still click merge pull request here kahit ni-reject yung PR mo. So if you wanted to enforce that, meron tayong branch protection rules sa GitHub. Kasi lang yung unfortunate thing about this is, yung free tier ng GitHub only allows branch protection rules kapag public yung repository mo. If you wanted to do a private repository na may protection rules, sadly, you're gonna have to pay them, ano ba yun, like using yung team plan nila, which is like $20 per user per month. Something like that. Okay. I'm not gonna go and rant about that kasi they're just making their own business. Pero let's try to add a rule here, no? So, mangyayari dito, for all of the repositories that need to be branched, to be merged into main, I can require that a pull request must be done first before we merge it. And for each of those pull requests, dapat may approval siya by one person or 6 people. I don't know why you would want to do 6 people, no? Parang Microsoft ka na yata at that point kung ganun karami yung mga stakeholders mo. So, ayan, there's a whole bunch of other other options here. But for now, I'll just put it at this. So, ayan, we create the branch protection rule. Ay, sorry. Wow! Okay, thank you, GitHub. Wait lang. Sorry, my dudes. I'm gonna have to authenticate myself here. Live debugging.
Actually, Sebastian Luis.
No way! Okay, so don't worry, hindi naman, okay lang na pinakita ko yung 29 na yan kasi hindi nyo naman makikita yung verification request sa phone ko. Okay. May point ka no, arguably no, I shouldn't have shown it kasi parang, the best security measure is providing zero information to your attacker as much as possible. No? Pero whatever, okay na yan. Sige. So effectively, gumawa na tayo ng branch protection rule and now we have a pull request here. And if you notice, kapag changes requested tayo dito sa PR ni Jelly kanina, there's going to be a button here that actually prevents me from merging the pull request. Pero dahil ako yung admin ng repo, I can just force it, you know. Pero that's totally discouraged. Okay. So ayan, let's try to merge something at least, no? Let's do add repository intro. At this point, pwede ko na yata itong i-rescind ko na yung previous kong comment na may add a link. Parang pwede ko na siyang i-approve kanwari. Siyempre in the future, no, dagdagan natin yung link para sa websites ni Cursor and para kay Cursor and kay ACM. Pero I'll leave that work to maybe one of you guys kung gusto nyo gawin yun. So let's say here, LGTM rocket emoji. Just to explain yung context ng meme na to, whenever you have a rocket emoji in GitHub, medyo meme to Kasi like, when you say LGTM, you don't know if it's like, looks good to me, or if it's, let's get this merged, or, I don't know, whatever you want to say. So, naging meme to sa amin sa mga friends ko. Every time we just say LGTM, dapat may rocket yan. So if you notice na nag-react ako kanwari dun sa Discord for rocket emoji, it's because of this meme. So ayan, let's try to do a submit review. And dapat, nakagitaw na dito na, I left a comment and I approved the changes. So ngayon, green na to, and now we can merge yung pull request natin. And then ako, babaguhin ko yung merge commit, I'll change it into something that looks less ugly. You know, gagawin ko siyang feature, docs, I guess. Add basic, readme, ganyan, and then I don't need to have a body here. And I'll just say, confirm merge, and then will be puts. Wow, yan. Pero if you notice, by the way, hindi niya delete yung branch by default. So, that I'll just leave this for now, no? Another dangling lang yan. So yan, and essentially, we just walked through an entire code review process, an entire pull request process, as the contributor and the reviewer hindi naman at the same time, no? Like one after the other. And effectively, yung task ko sa inyo ngayon, guys, we still have 10 minutes, I suppose. We can, i-port nyo yung repo na to, tapos sa readme.md, ilagay nyo yung sarili nyo dito under the attendees. And that's it. Yun lang yung magiging pinaka-check-in nyo sa ating repository.
Hindi naman mag-merge complete ng same line tayo.
Yeah, effectively ganun. Yun lang siya. So, with that said, no, I would like to be the first to congratulate you, no, na finally you are now certified Git connoisseur. You now know. So you now know a lot of things, like a lot of internal workings of Git that don't really get discussed, no? Kasi kapag ganwari may merge conflict ka na, tatakbo ka na sa Stack Overflow, tapos iiyak ka na doon. Bakit hindi siya nag-work? Pero I would be confident in saying that you already know more than a vast majority of users of Git right now. A lot of them don't even care, no, to look at yung objects folder. Like, for good reason, kasi it's hidden for that reason. Pero I'm glad to be able to share naman with you guys that to emphasize that there's no magic dito sa Git or kanwari sa VS Code, kapag magtataka kayo sa merge conflict, now you know na dapat mag-edit lang kayo ng text file itself. And then kapag kanwari mag-add kayo ng commit, literal na text editor lang yung ginagamit natin dyan. And so on and so forth. So thank you guys. I'll be looking forward to seeing your PRs. Sige guys, while the food is being served now and while we prepare for the next portion of our workshop, I'll be checking around yung mga pull requests niyo, and I'll see kung nagkakaroon kayo ng issues. And then at the same time, I think yung ating mga logistics team dito I will start distributing yung ating dinner kasi baka gutom na kayo. Sige, I'll just leave the slide here, I guess. Or sige, even better, no? I'll leave it at the slide with my face in it. I'll leave the slide with my face in it. So, para hindi nyo ako makalimutan. Okay, sige. I'll start walking around and checking your pull requests. Hopefully, maganda naman yung mga names dyan.